Okay, here we are again. I'm recording the third and final segment of this episode of, I don't know, an agnostic's adventure in subjective reality. And I'm live on Instagram now too. Go live. Yeah, I'm live. I realized that in the second segment, at least one person tuned in live. I had the Instagram tab. I wasn't seeing it. And my friend Maurice, whose title is Djibouti famous. I don't know. Oh God, one of my employees just logged in. I really should not be looking at the comments. Tiffany, do not comment. All right, you can comment if you want. Anyway, all right. Last segment. It's the Words of Woo segment. And my Words of Woo today is from Ram Dass. And Ram Dass said, "All we're going to do for eternity is sit around the fire." I love that quote. I often think, so I'm an artist. I think theater specifically is holy because theater was born from storytelling. Before we had writing, before we had plays. I guess writing was the oldest one. I probably should have built up to writing. Before we had movies, before we had podcasts, before we had plays, before all these things, but even before we had writing, how we kept our culture alive was by telling stories by the fireplace. That's the root of theater. That's the root of storytelling. And that is the root of our identity as human beings. So when I first heard that quote by Ram Dass, I was just very struck because that's what we're doing. That's what I want to do in life is I just want to tell stories. I just want to pass on my experience to the next generation. I'm fascinated by history. I love listening to history podcasts and finding out how people lived and imagining what life was like living through the French Revolution or living through the Mongol invasion of China or living through when the first Europeans showed up in Australia. What the fuck? I love imagining stuff like that. And I love telling those stories. And I love to know that every single culture, not every single culture. I don't know. I'm not actually wise enough, but wise. I'm not wise at all. Every single culture has at some point stood around a fireplace and told stories about themselves and passed on their cultural DNA to the next generation. And so Ram Dass saying that that's all we're going to do for eternity is it gives me a lot of peace. Because as any of you who are aspiring artists out there know, it's not a peaceful life. It's not a peaceful life anyway. We're on the verge of World War III. Jesus Christ. But I just take encouragement from the knowledge that the point is to tell stories around the fireplace. Doesn't matter what obvious. It matters what's happening in the world. Doesn't matter if we're living in an authoritarian dictatorship. Doesn't matter if we have the perfect democratic system. Doesn't matter, We're telling stories. How do you want to tell your story? I don't want to be one of those people. It's how do you want to tell your story? I don't care. Just tell it. And I'd love it if you would tell it with me. That'd be cool. So go ahead and comment, subscribe, do all the things you fucking are supposed to do with social media. I swear to God, I'll get better at this. Oh, I did go and look up my Google handle, or my YouTube handle, and it is actually Michael Tyler, same as my Instagram. So if you want to watch this live on YouTube or live on Instagram, I'm going to try to announce when I do this. I think I'll do the 3 segments and take a break between, and then I'll edit it together and put it out as the podcast. At some point, I don't know when I'm going to be able to edit it. I don't have a lot of energy this weekend. It's apparently about to snow 8 inches, so that'll be fun. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, whether you tuned in live or you're listening to the podcast later. And I'd love it if you came back. And if you thought it was interesting, share it with a friend. Oh my God, I'm actually doing the thing. But yes, I would just love to expand this conversation with people that I know and people that I don't yet know. And if you've got like a spiritual quote or like a philosophy or something that's interesting to you that works for you, um, I would love it if you sent it to me, and I can, maybe I'll discuss it if at some point. I'm not going to promise you, oh, I'm going to talk about it on the next episode, but like if it hits me and whatnot, I'll discuss it. And if you want to jump on the podcast, hit me up, and maybe we'll do that sometime. All right. I guess my outro is always peace and love.